All right, you guys, for today's lesson, I'm going to go ahead and go through the quizzes that you guys have been taking over the last couple of days. You should already have your in there. If not, they're coming soon. But please make sure that you compare your score in the Aries gradebook to your score that you actually got on the test. Because obviously I always curve every exam that's input for the most part. So your actual score is the one that you got on the Google form. And your score, so what you have in Google Classroom is what you actually got. And what you have put in Aries is your curved score. All right. So we're going to go ahead and do 1.1 through 1.3. This is a wonderful review for your guys' unit test that will be tomorrow. So you do need to know all of these. They will probably be on the test for tomorrow, okay? What is the length of AC? So the easiest way to do it when it's given in this form is to first start by finding the points of A and C. So it looks like A is going to be the point -3, +2. And C is going to be the point -1, +3. So the distance of AC is going to be using the distance formula where I subtract my x's and square them. I subtract my y's and square them, and we take the square root of that. So I'm going to say this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in. So I'm going to get x2 is -1 minus x1 squared. Y2 is 3 minus y1, which is 2. This double negative here makes a positive. So -1 plus 3 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. So 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 1 is going to give me square root of 5. So B was the correct answer for number 1. Now, if these are out of order a little bit, I might have, sometimes it shuffles the solutions or the multiple choice answers. So don't pay attention to it being B so much as square root of 5, okay? What is the midpoint of AB? So we're given the same figure for this. Again, point A is -3, 2. And B, if I'm looking at the last problem, is -2, +4. And my midpoint of AB is going to be the average of my x's, add both together and divide by 2, and the average of my y's, add both y's together, divide by 2. I'm going to plug in. I have -3 plus -2. Those are my x's. And then for my y's, I have 2 plus 4. Whoops, sorry. And I'm going to go ahead and simplify that. This is like 3. That's -3, and -2 is a -5 over 2. 2 plus 4 is 6 over 2. And I can't go any further with my -5 over 2, but 6 divided by 2 is 3. So that was the correct solution for number 2, or whichever number that ended up being. For number 3, I think there was a couple more examples here. But when you have a dot on one side and a little arrow on the other, that is known as a ray. A line segment would be from here to here. And a line could be represented like this. So this is a line. This is a line segment. You need to know all of these. And this is a ray. So what is the difference between a line and a line segment? A line segment is from point to point, and a line has 2 arrows at the end. For number 4, I know you guys had some questions where they asked you to use your protractor. I did an example of this in your guys' notes, and I told you just to estimate as closely as possible. I want to say your answers here were a little bit different too. I don't think I put 148 and 157 there, but it was basically going to be whatever's larger than, something between 90 and 180. So it would have been 157. I can look back and see what was that question. Let's double check. of AE, length of AC, what is the figure? So see on this one, this is the question right here. You can see the multiple choice answers. So 157 is the one that we would have selected. That's the only answer that was between 90 and 180. I wouldn't have given you 148 because that would be too difficult without a protractor to find. Okay. All right. Number 5, what transformation is described by the notation? So in this particular case, your x is a -3. So if I think of my x-axis goes left and right, right? So I know that it has to be left and right. So right off the bat, it can't be up or down. And because it's negative, which way are the negatives? If this is the origin, this is a positive one, this is a negative one, right? So negatives are all to the left of 0. So when you have x -3, x tells you left and right, and the -3 means that we're going to go towards the negatives, which is going to be to the left. And in this case, 3 units. And that was it for the first quiz that you were given. For the next one, we have 1.4 and 2.2. So reflect the point across the x-axis, or the y-axis, sorry. So when you are reflecting across the y-axis, here's your original point. A reflection across the y-axis means that your x is going to be negative. So my original point is -3, -3. And if I apply this rule up here, I know that my new point, A prime, for example, would be +3, -3. So D is the correct answer. So you have to know your reflections, okay? Translate the point. B is 0, 8, and use this translation. So my B prime, I'm going to plug in my original 0 - 4, and my y is going to be 8 + 2. And that's going to give me -4 and +10 for my B prime. So B is the correct answer there. Now I believe I removed this question, but I'm still going to go ahead and review it with you. This is about congruency. So let's say you have ABC, and they're saying it's congruent to DEF. Now DEF could be flipped or rotated, something like that. And if they're telling you that they are congruent, then basically you want to follow the same letter pattern. So for example, A and B are the first letters written up here, right? So A and B would have to be the same as the 2 letters written in the next one, B and E. Okay, the next 2 letters is BC. So BC would have to be the same location over here, EF. And then if I choose my first and my last, I would choose my first and the last here as well. So AC would have to be equal to DF. So when you're given these types of statements about congruency or similarity, the order of the letters is what matters. So same thing if I looked at the angles. A is the first letter written in this triangle, so A angle would be exactly the same as D angle. B angle is the second letter in that first triangle, and the second letter in that second triangle is going to be E. So that is how you can do similarity. You look very closely at the statement and you're able to tell which ones they're equal to. So let's answer the question. Which side is congruent then to DE? Well, DE is the first and second letter. So the first and second letter in the other triangle is going to be AB. Okay. Well, number 4 was an easy given for you guys. What is the figure shown below? Is it obtuse, right, straight, and acute? It is a right triangle because it has that box in it. So just be careful if they draw it like this without that little box. You can never put right angle as a solution, okay? In this case, you would have to have a protractor because I don't know if that would be obtuse or acute. Number 5. Identify the property of equality used in the statement. If 2 is equal to x, then x is equal to 2. So transitive property is when you have two things that are the same, like A equals B, B equals C. then A equals C. That's transitive. Subtraction property says if A equals B, then A plus C equals B plus C. Oops, sorry, that's actually addition. So let's say minus for subtraction. Okay, what that means is that if you have the exact same number here, and if A and B are the same value, that those two statements will be equal. Okay, multiplication property says that if A equals B, then AC is equal to BC. And symmetry says that if A equals B, then B equals A. Basically, all that happened is the letters switched place. So when I compare these properties to what I have here, then I know that 2 equals x and x equals 2 has to be a symmetry problem. Think about it too, when you're talking about a line of symmetry, I draw this, a line of symmetry is almost the same as a line of reflection, meaning whatever you see on one side, you see on the other. So that's what we have here. Whatever I see on one side of the equal sign, I can see on the other side of the equal sign. And the last one is using what the definition of a linear pair is, okay? So a linear pair is something that adds up to 180, which is also known as supplementary angles. Never assume that a line is linear, okay? They need to state that it's linear in the problem, because it could be, you know, instead of 180, it could be 179.5 degrees. So make sure that they have the vocab in the problem. So because I know that angle ABD and CBD are a linear pair, I know that these two together add up to 180. So using the angle addition postulate, I know that I can take 7q minus 46 plus 3q plus 6 and set it equal to 180. I'm going to very carefully combine like terms, and I'm going to solve for q. So remember what I've talked to you about trying to eliminate those baby steps. So I'm going to add 40 to both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 10, and I would get q is 22. I've also talked to you guys about going back and rereading the question. This question is not asking for me to find q. So if you selected A, you selected the number one distractor because you did some math and you got an answer that happened to show up as a multiple choice solution. So always go back and reread the question. What is the measure of angle ABD? So this is ABD here, right? So I know that ABD is equal to 7q minus 46. And if q is 22, I can go ahead and plug that in. 22 times 7, let me figure this out real quick. So my calculator with me is 154 minus 46 is 108 degrees. And that is the solution. All right, so just keep in mind all of your reviews that you have today that's basically it. You're reviewing for your test tomorrow. And we'll meet in the morning for a very quick Zoom meeting because you're spending all day today reviewing. Things that are a good idea to review is all of the quiz reviews that we've done thus far. So make sure you go back to those PowerPoint slides where I assigned you guys, 10 problems to do as a group and submitted those. So feel free to go back to those. I've also attached a review for you guys to complete as well. I'm not collecting any of the review material. Obviously, if you don't do the reviews, then you're just not as prepared for the class. What I am going to start doing is if you are not having a good test score, then I am going to reach out to your parents and ask that you do start submitting your homework so that I can make sure that you're understanding what you're doing and that you're actually doing it. Okay, so please make sure you guys go through all of this material. This is the only video that you have for today. And just study, study, study so that you're prepared for your test tomorrow. Have a good